Welcome to Winning the Game of Life. I'm your host, Shawn Chhabra. I'm very excited, very happy because I have a very special guest today. Our featured guest today is Paul Kirch. He is the founder and CEO of Boss Academy Radio and Actus Sales Intelligence. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Hey, Shawn, glad to be here.
Very nice, very nice. So, how about for our listeners and viewers, you start a little bit with your background so that they really know who is Paul Kirch, and then we will take it from there.
Well, I hope everyone's sitting because this could be a long story if we're going to talk about my entire background. In all seriousness, though, I've been in some sort of capacity in the marketing research space since 1990, and I bring that up just because that's where my career started. I started at the Gallup organization, spent 10 years there in operations before moving into sales. Now, in 2009, I started my own company. And when I went out, started that company, I started working with other research agencies, but also firms outside of that. And I've worked with very large Fortune 500 companies and a lot of small shops. So my services have really been kind of broad in terms of perspective, but what I offer is pretty simple. That's sales training, sales consulting, lead generation, and some other things around just helping companies sell smarter. In fact, that's our motto, is we help you sell smarter. Now, my journey prior to that, I mentioned I started my career in the marketing research space, but I always, at the heart of everything I've ever done, knew I wanted to be self-employed. I wanted my own business. But I didn't grow up in an environment where I really felt empowered. I didn't have people that were good mentors as I was growing up to help me become an entrepreneur. I was kind of flying a little blind. And so when I finally did take the leap of faith, it was something that was kind of like I reached a point where there was no turning back. You know, Tony Robbins always talks about burning the boats when you get to the islands. I kind of feel like I burned the boats. And so what had happened is I had this really great career, and I was in operations at a great company, learned so much, decided I want to be entrepreneurial, but I'm scared to death to leave this paycheck. So I went and took a sales job because I thought, well, that's entrepreneurial. I can kind of own my own book of business. I control my destiny. And it sort of was. It was very much an entrepreneurial type of role, but it wasn't the same. But I decided, okay, well, if I'm not going to have the courage to go out and start this company, I need to advance further. So I started doing sales leadership, sales training, sales coaching. So I took on a couple of roles where I was leading teams and loved it and got the opportunity to do something that was really made me feel like I was on a good path. And so I joined a company here in Texas that was really poised for growth, but they didn't have the right kind of sales leadership previously. And so I came in there and was taking on this sales leadership role. And my wife at the time, we weren't married, but this girl I was engaged to was running operations. I was running sales. We loved it. And one day, the owner of the company says he's selling the company. And it seemed like an opportunity, although she was really upset and a lot of the other people that had been there for a while were upset. I saw this as an opportunity for growth. It's a larger company. I'm going to be taking on more of an international type of role. This was a good thing. Well, quickly I saw that that wasn't the case, that they had their plans for bringing in other leadership. They were kind of micromanaging everything we did. And it went from a place that we loved to a place that we didn't like. So I left when my wife was 8 months pregnant. The economy was kind of in the toilet, but I said, you know what? I've got to move on. I had job offers because I'd been in the research industry a long time. I had companies that wanted me, but I couldn't stomach the idea to go and work for them. No offense to them. No offense to anybody that had faith in me, but I knew that I had reached a point where I wasn't willing to accept less than what I wanted. And my wife was extremely supportive, says, either take one of these jobs or go start this company you've been talking about. So I did. So I left in 2009 and started Actus Sales Intelligence, and my whole goal was to take the sales leadership, sales training, all those things that I'd really embraced and loved, and build a business out of it. And that's what I've been doing since. But I started my own venture in helping entrepreneurs last year. Boss Academy is really where my passion lies. I've always said that when I can help other entrepreneurs be successful, I'm going to do that. So I created bossacademy.com as a means of giving back and helping entrepreneurs, and that's where Boss Academy Radio sprung up out of.
So Boss Academy is not just the radio show, it's like a full-fledged business helping entrepreneurs?
Yeah, right now it's very much a benevolent opportunity where I'm giving back and helping support entrepreneurs, but of course there's a business model around it, and our goal is to really make it a very sustainable place for entrepreneurs to come so they can grow their business, get support that I didn't have growing up, find themselves with accountability, but also find themselves with people that can relate to the challenges they face. I mean, you know, Shawn, as anybody, a business owner, how hard it is sometimes being an entrepreneur or a business owner, the stress we have, the things that we take to bed with us that most people can't relate to, you know? And so providing support for that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like earlier you mentioned, you kind of never had good mentors, you know? So maybe that unconscious mind in your mind really triggers and it's making you mentor, and you're mentoring to millions, maybe just through the academy.
Yeah, well, and I've been very blessed since starting my company to surround myself with amazing mentors and people that have really impacted and touched my life. And, you know, Boss Academy Radio actually sprung up out of an opportunity. When I was at a networking event, I was answering questions that the speaker couldn't answer. People in the crowd came up afterwards, giving me business cards saying this was amazing. And one of the women was a general manager of a radio station in Dallas, said, "How would you like to have your own radio show?"
Wow.
And so I left that event with an opportunity to host a radio show live, which I did for about 8 months before I recognized that podcasting offered so many more opportunities than live AM radio does.
Actually, podcasting is like, I'm new, you are a pro, but I can still see I'm able to surround myself with the guests like you. So I'm already surrounded with a mastermind group, you know. And
every interview I do, I learn more from it, Shawn, than probably any of my listeners do.
Yeah, so the personal growth just by doing all these interviews and the networking, and I always tell myself, or actually I tell this to my wife, like all this is making me such a powerful person, not only inside, just the networking, and the possibilities are endless. And so what do you recommend? What else? How else should I be tweaking this, my own program? Actually, that was not the purpose, but just let me ask you that publicly.
You know, when I started the radio show, it was really interesting because I'd never done radio, and here I am in this AM station, really amazing people around me, production staff, PR staff. I mean, it was a great experience. 4 10-minute segments and then some commercial airtime. And so it was very structured, you know. So I had these 10-minute blocks. So if I was talking, I can talk on anything for 10 minutes. If I had a guest on, I sometimes felt like I was like up against the time clock to get 10 minutes in because 10 minutes can fly by. But it was really structured. When I went to podcasting, I had the opportunity to do something that I couldn't do at the radio station, become much more selfish. And by selfish, I mean I can pick and choose the guests. I could do that at the radio station, but when you're dealing with 10-minute segments, even if you have somebody on for a couple of segments, it's not the same. So with podcasting, I can pick and choose my guests, but I can also really drive the dialogue in a place that lets me learn and grow in my own business and in my life. But in doing that, I think it makes the show really real for listeners. So if I was going to tell you anything that I would recommend, get extremely selfish with your approach to this, because some podcasters will say, well, it's all about the guests. It's all about the audience. It is, sure. Yes, we want to give the guests as much respect and exposure as possible. We want to make the listener's experience that much better. But the best way for me to do that is to make sure that I'm meeting my own needs with the show, because if that's happening, I guarantee other listeners out there that are going to directly relate to me anyway are walking away going, wow, this was awesome. It was almost like this message was tailored to me. And that's the feedback I get. So get selfish.
Actually, I'm that selfish. Like I recorded my like a 0 episode, and I had been talking to my staff. What should I do? They said, Shawn, look in the mirror and just think that you're talking to yourself. So I started saying,
Absolutely.
like, I'm a person who's looking for personal growth, and every single day, 7 days a week, I buy something new, some new education, some new WSO, and all those books, or listen to podcasts, watch the videos. I never watch the TV, by the way. So I'm looking for the people who are like me. Every day they want to grow. They're hungry for more knowledge. They want to grow every single day. And the next morning, guess what? They're still looking for that.
That's right. And and another thing, some people say, well, why do you broadcast or why do you go on these shows using your microphone? And I used to be somewhat like apprehensive to do that because I didn't want the people hosting the show to go, okay, well, why are you using your microphone that has your branding on it? But you know what? I'm protective of my brand. I'm proud of my brand. Boss Academy is something that I truly believe in. And so when I put my name out there, I want my name to be associated with the one thing that I think makes a huge difference in the lives of a lot of people out there trying to grow businesses.
Yeah. So if you're doing all that, then only you can support and sustain your radio program. Otherwise, it will
Right.
fall apart.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny. You think about rock bands. I remember one time Metallica one of the guys on Metallica was being interviewed, and they were being accused of being sellouts.
Mhm.
And the one guy goes, "Yeah, we're sellouts. We sell out every stadium we go to." But a lot of their fans were very critical of them because they had gone from this, we're all about the music to all about the money. But quite frankly, the more money you make, the more opportunity you have, the more you can give back and make a difference in people's lives. If you're poor, no offense to anybody out there poor, I don't want to be poor, but if you're poor, you can't help a lot of people. You can be there emotionally, you can be there spiritually, but you cannot make contributions. You can't, do anything to help them financially or to make a big splash in terms of giving back. So a lot of wealthy people get criticized because they have all this money. But you look at Bill Gates and what he's done through the Gates Foundation, and some of these people that have tons of money, that we criticize them, but they're the ones that are making the biggest impact in life. So, give back, make a difference.
I mean, not only that, you said like if you don't have money, you can emotionally support other people. Most probably, if you don't have money, you are the one who is mostly like emotionally weak. So
Yeah.
you can't even do that. You can just think for a minute, one minute every 24 hour maximum to support something and be in the right mental state. So
That's right.
so money is the media. With that, like you get all kind of powers. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Like, and that apart, like we were just talking about like how to be selfish and how to support our businesses. In the beginning, like before I launched, I talked to a lot of coaches, and I told them like English is my handicap, and I want to go through a lot of training. They say, Shawn, then you will change. Then you are not authentic anymore. So they say rule number one is just stay the way you are, and the growth will come, and you will find listeners and viewers who will connect with you just because you are being yourself. And there are a lot of other podcasters and people doing shows. They are pretending to be somebody, or they are already like a pro in their industry. So maybe there are people who want to listen to authentic and new people like me.
Look, authentic and real works. I mean, this is why if you look at direct mail, what responds better than a white postcard with black text? Nothing. Really colorful. People spend tons of money on their direct mail postcards if they're using direct mail. What responds better is very plain and generic. Online, you look on YouTube. It used to be really polished videos were what resonated. That didn't last long. Now it's real and raw. And so I think being authentic, look, you're going to grow doing this. The more interviews you do, your English is going to adapt. You're going to start asking better questions. I will tell you that I'm a better public speaker from doing this show. I'm not in front of a live audience, but when I get up on stage now, my presence is different. My composure is different. My thought process, I think faster. So doing interviews transforms you.
Okay, very good. Enough of me and my show. So I really want to be more selfish and learn from your background. So
Fair enough.
let us get back to golden nuggets you are hiding.
Well, where do you want to begin? What would you like to talk about?
like you tell me what you teach to all the new entrepreneurs.
Oh my gosh, where do we begin? Well, look, I mean, there's a lot of things that I work on and teach people on. I mean, I work on things as simple as, what takes place between your ears. The 6 inches, your head is often where we get bogged down. I've had an amazing run since 2009, but last year and the year before that, I faced some real stresses in my life on the personal side, which impacted my business. So I had 18 months where I was really struggling, and I realized that I needed to work on my body, my mind, and my spirit, because it's those three things that allow me to function on the outside. So my show, Boss Academy Radio, is very much about the external. These are the actions you can take. These are the things you do. Now, I have guests on that talk about internal aspects, but it's very much focused on outward things that we can do to grow our business. But if you're not in the right frame of mind, how well are you executing those external factors? Now, I know you have a team. You're very blessed. You have a team of people. There's a lot of solopreneurs out there. When life stresses get in the way, their business crumbles or they don't reach the kind of momentum that they should. I've been there. I've gone through it. So I know what that's like. So I focus on helping people get better clarity inside. And so how do you do that? A better morning ritual. If you focus on gratitude in the morning, Tony Robbins always talks about this, and I'm going to reference Tony because his programs are what helped me through some tough times in my life in the past. I went through Personal Power 2 years ago when I was going through a divorce, and that's what helped me get back in a better frame of mind. And so when we think about gratitude, doing gratitude in the morning, if you list off the things you're grateful for, you could be bogged down in the worst pain and stress in your life, and all of a sudden you feel better. You could be in a loveless marriage, but maybe there are things that you can find to be grateful for. And I'm talking about this because this is what impacts your business, because it's the personal stuff. So maybe you and your wife are not getting along, but you're grateful for the fact she's there to support you. She makes sure that the house is clean. She takes care of the kids. All of a sudden you start going, okay, this same person who I was just angry at, now all of a sudden I feel better about. And when we start to feel better, we can put our mind in the right place in our business. So one of the things I do is I try and focus on a morning ritual, which focuses on gratitude. I do some planning. Hopefully I've done planning the night before, knowing what I'm going to work on today. If I haven't, it slows the process down. But one of the things I started doing is I have a whiteboard in my office. I come in and I do a little whiteboarding session. So I take the things that I said I was going to do today, and I start to prioritize them. And I break it down into coming up with 3 musts. What are the 3 musts I have to get done today? Now, there are other things, of course, but the danger, most people live and operate by to-do lists. To-do lists they're sometimes a necessary evil, but what happens is a lot of times we have a to-do list. At the end of the day, we check off all these little things, and we move those things we didn't get done to the next day, and we stop taking them seriously, but we go, oh, look how much I got done today. I checked off these 20 things. I'm so busy. But we didn't get anywhere. So we didn't really focus on the big things, what we needed to get accomplished. A good friend of mine, his name is Rajesh Sethi. He is a serial entrepreneur, really very successful. He's written several books. One of my favorite people, is a great mentor. He does to-think lists. And he comes up with a list of things he wants to take time to sit and think about. Because if we don't take time to sit and reflect and think and really dig into what we need to get done and why we need to do it, we sometimes really limit ourselves. And so focusing on the internal is one thing. If we want to talk about external, I don't even know where you want to begin, Shawn. I do a lot of work on the sales side. So helping people focus on better follow-up strategies, better outreach. If there's one thing that I truly believe in, now you're going to hear conflicting messages from some salespeople out there that are sales coaches say, oh, we follow up too much. We stalk people. This isn't about stalking, but if we want to engage somebody and they're not responsive, but we know they've expressed interest at some point, until that person tells me they're not interested, I have to make the assumption that they still are. So if you had said to me, "Hey, Paul, we should work together," and then I reach out to you and you don't respond, well, a lot of times salespeople or professionals will say, "Well, they didn't respond. They must not be interested." What do I think? I think Shawn's busy. I think Shawn has 30 other distractions. He's got a staff of people that are a priority. I'm not a priority till I'm a priority. So if I truly believe I can help you, and I truly believe in my products and services, don't I kind of owe it to you and to myself to continue to reach out?
I'm sorry to cut you back.
Yeah, please.
Like, it's kind of when you are chasing them, practically you are trying to help them.
Yes, and it's not about chasing. It's about providing value and really focusing on the relationship, but having enough respect for you to say, he was interested before, I have to assume he's still interested. If not, maybe it's something I've done. Now, the problem where it becomes stalking is we stop thinking about your needs and we start worrying about our own needs, and then we get very selfish with our approach, and everything we do is all about sales pitch. But if you're not responding to me and I send you an email and you don't respond back, and I leave you a voicemail and you don't respond back, well, maybe my next message to you is something of value, something that I think is going to help you. Hey, Shawn, I just found this really cool report that's related to the IT space, and I know you've got your computer solutions business. Maybe this would be something of interest.
Oh
you
my
may
God!
Still not.
So you're really making relationship, like you're just
Yes.
developing a rapport. So they buy or not, you're kind of becoming their network and their friend.
Yes, and what happens is we often think that because you're not responding that I'm alienating you or pushing you away, but chances are, if that's the case, if I've alienated and pushed you away, at some point you're going to tell me to leave you alone, or it's never going to progress. Now, this is not about following up with somebody forever. This is about the average salesperson makes 3 attempts to reach out. According to the National Sales Foundation and several other studies out there, and my own experience from my lead generation team, it takes between 5 and 12 outreaches to get most sales. 80% of all sales happen between the 5th and 12th outreach. The interesting fact about that is that most salespeople stop at 3, like I said. Most entrepreneurs, probably 3 to 4 attempts. And unfortunately, we're missing and leaving a lot of business on the table because we don't do enough outreach. Like I said, it's not about stalking. It's not about hounding. It's about trying to really provide a service to somebody that we think we can help.
So do you really have a full-fledged training program, like for online teaching or something, or you do one-on-one coaching, or you just mentor people?
I do both. We're working on our first online program that hasn't been launched yet, but through bossacademy.com we'll have several training programs. Most of the training I've done in the past has been either group training or one-on-one, and it's very customized. But we are starting to roll out some programs which will be kind of a residual ongoing opportunity, because we want to make sure that Boss Academy is truly a resource, and we've got an expert network we're building out there, so we've got other people contributing content. A lot of stuff's going to be for free, but there will be some paid programs as well.
I need to put my staff once your online program is ready, because like in the last 25 years or something, I may have done like $50-60 million in sales. And my people think even one phone call is too much to make the sale.
Yeah. Well, we feel that way sometimes. And, you know, if I'd love to work with you and talk to you about that, because that is one thing that once you really see what's happening and you put it in terms of yourself, unfortunately, what happens is we label things a lot. And you probably see this, Shawn, where we put a label on something, all of a sudden it becomes very daunting. We label a relationship call as sales. What happens? All of a sudden it's like, well, now it seems like, oh my God, I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to be seen as that. What happens is it's become something that it never was intended to be. If we focus on the relationship first, we focus on making friendships and earning trust, then it's no longer about sales. It's about the bigger picture. And recognizing that if we're serving them first by providing good services and being there for them, being very selfless in our approach, it is easy for a lot of people to adopt that. If they see sales as a selfish approach, it's all about me, 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 well, that's what becomes very daunting, and a lot of people are really turned off by doing it. So sales should be really more selfless and less selfish.
I'm talking about, like, I started my computer business in 1999. I mean, this show is now not about me, but at least people can relate, where I'm just learning from you today.
Yeah.
Like, I was a basement business, one-person business. And one day,
Yeah.
IBM called, the big IBM company. And they say, Shawn, you have this AC adapter on your website, and we need thousands of those. I just gave them the price. I say, it have my brand name, Shawn Chhabra, printed on there. They said, we don't care. We got hungry customers because they got some off-lease product. They must provide AC adapters. Otherwise, they will lose a lot of money on the warranty services.
Yeah.
They made me get those manufactured in China, and they paid more for the overnight shipping for all the 3 or 4 shipments of like 2,000 pieces each or something. And the cost of shipping was more than they paid me for the product, but I never called them back, because originally on day one they told, Shawn, you are a basement business, we want your product, but we'll give a purchase order to another company in California, that's a big company, and they will wire you the money tomorrow. I said, fine, I just want the money in my bank. And after that I never called them. I said, well, they already told me I'm too little to deal with them. So how stupid of me, I must have developed the relationship with them, and maybe I was going to be their big vendor, like the other vendor in the middleman.
Yeah. Well, and that happens a lot, where we sometimes feel like we don't deserve to be there. And in that time, today you wouldn't make that same mistake, but at that time, and I say we don't feel like we don't deserve to be there, because I think about my show, and I think about Boss Academy Radio. I had John Sculley, the former CEO of Apple Computers and PepsiCo, on my show. And that was a big eye-opener, because I'm like, okay, guys like that are willing to come onto my show because they want exposure. They need me. And I used to be intimidated by people. Now, there's no one you could throw at me that I'd be intimidated by. And Mark Maron, who hosts WTF, had President Obama on his show. President Obama came and sat in his garage, his messy garage, and did this interview. And I actually got to meet Mark Maron. And, it's become a place where podcasting and some of the things we do give us exposure to amazing people. But what we see is that, you know what? I'm a smart guy. I know a lot. And I've spent almost 30 years in business getting to the point, not quite, but getting to the point where I have a lot of knowledge. And I sometimes forget that. And we often are guilty of forgetting what we know. We forget that our experience is what got us to where we are, and someone can learn from us. But I hear from people all the time, well, nobody wants to hear that from me. Or, people already know that. Oh, really? There's still people out there that don't know how to create a LinkedIn profile, that would love to learn how to create a LinkedIn profile. And we sometimes take for granted that other people are still learning. They are not where we are today. I think about my own experience. When I discovered online marketing, I was exposed to Jeff Walker, Frank Kern, all these guys. Well, I now know so much about what they do that some of it just comes natural. But just a few years ago, I didn't know any of it. And a lot of people still don't. They're where I was a few years ago. So that's another great lesson, is stop forgetting that you have a lot of experience and a lot of value. You deserve to be there.
Actually, I'll show you one of my book. I don't know, you can read there.
Yes.
Get published, get noticed.
I love it.
So I teach people, like, they should get published. They should promote themselves and their business, and they should share their experiences, or at least people will know what you know. So most of the small businesses I talk, they say, I know nothing. That's why I'm failing. I said, no, you know a lot of things are so obvious to you. You think they are obvious to everybody. A lot of things are common sense for you. You learn over the years. Like, for example, I came from a different background. My path or my growth or whatever I did all my life, there's only one Shawn Chhabra. There's nobody else who can replicate and just know everything I know. So when you're putting all that information out there, I'm sure even if you can inspire one person to take some good action, I think that's worth.
Well, and that's the thing is if you get past the point of, well, why would anybody want to hear from me, or what would I write about, or what would I talk about? You get past that and you touch one person, it becomes a little bit of an addictive process. Once you see that something you took for granted, it's funny. You'll sometimes do something really complex, and somebody will walk away with the most simple thing, and you go, that's what you took away from that? But that's because that's what resonated with them.
Actually, like all this learning process and all this who will learn what and how things will happen, like it's your unconscious mind, it's just pulling you back. You just, like earlier you was telling me about the making more sales calls, or I would have called IBM earlier, and the other day I had some opportunity with Apple and I just missed that one also. So all those things are simply telling me I'm just trying to learn right now and just consciously say so that I really fix it. It's just a mindset. Just mindset need to be changed.
It's a lot mindset, and I battle it all the time myself. There are things in my business that I know that if I could get past, it would make a huge impact, or that if I could prioritize. So getting clear is another thing that I will tell you has transformed the way that I do business. Clarity is everything. Doing is sometimes the worst thing that we can do. We do, but we don't think, and we don't take the time to get clear on what we're really trying to accomplish. So we're going down a path, we're kind of going down this zigzag, we're all over the place. Whereas if we know that, okay, here's my destination, I'm driving to my destination, wow, we circumvent so many stresses and failures by just getting clear.
Yeah, I always tell them, use your internal GPS, like your gut positioning system.
Yeah, I like it. Gut positioning system, that's awesome.
I teach them, damn, you want to go reach here, like on a smaller task, you may be going zigzag here and there, as long as leading you in the right direction and you're not going the wrong direction. That's good enough. You don't have to check like every single task immediately took you to the next level or not. As long as it's geared towards the same direction, just tweak a little bit more and you will be there before you know.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think a lot of people are afraid of, and I was afraid of it, when I didn't start my company for 21 years because I was married to a paycheck and I didn't have the courage to go out and do it. When I did, it hasn't all been rosy. I've had a lot of, you could call them small failures, some big failures, mistakes, but you think about that runner that's out there that trips and falls. There's a video of this woman. She falls and she picks herself back up. She falls again. She picks herself back up. She keeps falling until she gets to the finish line. But if you're falling forward, you're always moving towards the finish line. So don't be afraid to fail. In fact, failing is a part of succeeding. When I used to play competitive billiards, and I hated losing, like everyone. But what I recognized is the more that I lost to really good players, the better I got. And at some point, I was beating those really good players. And so learning to lose allows you to win. And don't embrace losing, but embrace the idea that as long as you're losing and learning, you're winning.
I mean, every time you're tripping over something, you're learning something. So
that's right.
So at least you fail on some little task or any activity, you already know what doesn't work.
That's right.
I mean, it's like you was like doing paycheck to paycheck job. So literally, you was feeling comfortable. Doesn't matter how much money you was making. You didn't want to just jump out of that and do something.
Well, yeah, and you get married, you got a house, and all of a sudden it's like those are no longer the things that you feel like you're willing to sacrifice. And it took a pretty big turning point for me and a supportive wife that allowed me to get the courage to take that leap. Look, my radio show happened because I had this vision of Boss Academy, but I wasn't doing anything with it. And then I went to that networking event, and all of a sudden I'm answering questions that the speaker couldn't answer, and the speaker was very gracious and allowed me to do it. And I get this opportunity to do this radio show, and no longer is this idea in the back of my head something I can pass on. I now have to take action on it. Sometimes the universe throws us things that we want, but we're not doing on our own, and we miss those opportunities. IBM calling you was probably an opportunity that you didn't take advantage of at the time that might have transformed your business. Now, granted, you've had success since then. You probably wouldn't be where you are today, but sometimes we ignore the opportunities. We ask, there's a great joke. It's like this guy prays every day, please let me win the lottery, Lord. Please let me win the lottery every day. And eventually he says, please let me win the lottery, Lord. And the Lord looks down upon him and says, I was trying to let you win the lottery, but you haven't bought a ticket. So it's kind of that type of mindset where we sometimes ask for things, they get thrown at us, and we ignore it because we're scared.
I always tell people like a horse and buggy, you need blinders, or you have to be consciously looking. Like I always give people example. If you're a pilot and flying an aeroplane and the whole blue sky, you will never see another plane unless you look section by section and start focusing area by area, zone by zone. So you have to be consciously looking for that. Then only you will see another aeroplane which you are about to crash with, So same way in life, like what you are saying, like nature and universe is bringing, or God, or whatever you believe in, is throwing things on your lap, but you still have to get up and grab.
That's right.
Very nice, very nice. I mean, you inspired me so much, and I'm sure my listeners and viewers will thank me to bring you to the show.
Well, I appreciate that, Shawn. It's been an honor, and I'm excited about what you're doing here. I know podcasting has been really life-changing in a lot of ways for me. It's allowed me to meet some amazing people, and the opportunity to inspire and to touch a lot of people through this platform is great. So I know you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
No, but this was my body, mind, and soul is not satisfied, and we are close to the end of the show. So this is what I have to ask you. Like I was going to ask you for a lot more external sales training and whatever other trainings you gave. So how can I invite you for the part 2 of the show?
All you have to do is ask.
Okay, I'm asking, so I'll email you so that we can really schedule that.
Please, yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, this was not a structured show. I just wanted to chat with you, open-hearted, and I just assume, like, when you are telling your story, so I'm just listening it first time, just like my listeners and viewers. So whatever will be coming to their mind, that's what I'm a human being. So whatever is coming to my mind, and I lead the show this way.
Yes. Well, I personally love shows that allow open dialogue. Ones that use canned questions, I'm not a fan of. There's some very successful shows out there that do it, but I find that where this really creates the most opportunities, where it's engaging, it's real, and you can be a little selfish in your approach, because what resonates with you is probably going to resonate with your listeners because they're connected to you anyway. I do want to leave you with one point, going back to what we talked about earlier when I was talking about follow-up. A great thing to take away from that is, remember one thing: a lack of response does not equal a lack of interest. And we often forget that when people don't respond, they're busy. So a lack of response does not equal a lack of interest.
Because all day they got their own priorities and other tasks, and they're jumping task to task, and until that becomes their priority, but once it becomes their priority, your name is there.
Well, and have you ever met somebody at a networking event who you have an amazing conversation with? They give you their card, you get back, you're excited because, wow, this is going to be huge. They had such a great dialogue with me. You call them, they don't answer. They don't respond to your emails, and it seems like they are now turned off. No, they got back, and the excitement of that event is no longer there. They're dealing with their boss yelling at them, or they're dealing with the stress of things at home. You're not the priority that you were at that event because you were a captive audience there. So get on their calendar. Schedule time instead of just getting their business card.
Honestly, if that happens to me, I'm always thinking, they were becoming so nice to me. They don't give a damn about me. They don't even reply my emails.
That's right. Get it on their calendar, though, and all of a sudden it all changes.
My feeling, it hurts. So
of course. This is why a lot of people hate networking events. Or they go there and they talk to one person for the whole night because they had an easy conversation, and they're afraid to go out and make other contacts. Get on their calendar.
Okay, yeah, that's a gold nugget. It will go in the show notes.
I had to give you something.
Yeah, thank you. Next time I'll take the diamonds and gold buckets.
Outstanding.
Okay, how about at least you tell my listeners and viewers because this will be an audio podcast and video podcast both. So I always have to say my listeners and viewers. So how they can reach you, so that I'll put all the links and everything. But at least
the easiest way is to go to bossacademy.com and subscribe. Or you can send me an email directly. If you send it to info@bossacademy.com, I do get all of those, and my team will actually make sure that I get access to anything that comes through. If you're interested in learning more, feel free. But bossacademy.com, would love to have you listen to some of the shows. And everything we do, it's about business ownership success strategies. That's what BOSS stands for. And I really, truly believe that we can actually help entrepreneurs change the world. And every entrepreneur that gives up on their dream and goes back and takes a job hurts us. So we want to be the last boss you'll ever need.
Hey guys, go and subscribe to the last boss you will ever need. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Shawn.
Thank you for coming, and thanks for listening.
Do not throw that old phone away. Your trash may be hidden gold. We want your old device and will pay top dollar for it. Our process is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We offer no obligation sales. If you have a problem with the price that we gave you, we will return the device to you at no charge. Fast payment, free shipping, free data wipe, risk-free transaction. Buybackqueen.com.